Okay, we have some folks who are just joining us. You haven't missed anything. I want to welcome you. Good evening. My name is Pat Hegarty. I'm the Executive Director for Secondary Education for the Mukilteo School District, and I'm really pleased, happy to have this opportunity tonight with some colleagues and some friends to share with you our plan for high school virtual learning in the 2023-2024 school year. So let me start by introducing my colleagues. Blake, we'll start with you, and then we'll have our friends join us from Graduation Alliance. So Blake, tell us who you are in your role, please.
Hi, my name is Blake Baird. I am the principal of ACES High School and overseeing choice programs for the district. And so I will also be, from the district side of things, the principal of this program.
Okay, colleagues and friends from Graduation Alliance, just take it away in whatever order you want.
Okay. My name is Todd Dahlstedt. I'm the Senior Program Manager with Graduation Alliance.
My name is Beth Bannon. I am the Vice President of Program Development for Graduation Alliance.
My name is Aubrey Lane, and I am the Senior Director of Student Services.
Great. Thanks all of you guys for joining in partnership tonight. I will do most of the presenting, but I'm certainly going to call on the experts when the appropriate times, and there are a few of them, to share with you the information about our virtual learning plan for next year. So let me start by just sharing my screen, and give me just a moment. It's always a challenge to get the slideshow going. Here we go. Okay, I hope that everybody can see our slideshow. This is our high school virtual learning presentation. And really our goal tonight in this presentation is to hope that you get enough information to see if this virtual learning option for next year meets the needs of your student for the upcoming school year. So really our agenda is covering what is virtual learning, what to expect from virtual learning, and what does virtual learning look like. We do begin each of our webinars with a recognition of the land that we occupy and the place that we occupy in service to the students of Mukilteo. So I'd like to begin with our land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples who have lived on the Salish Sea Basin since time immemorial. We respect this place and honor the sacred spiritual connections to the land, water, and its people, past, present, and future. By acknowledging these lands and their original indigenous inhabitants, we reach back to our own indigenous roots and reflect on the impacts of colonialism and the lands from which all of our people come. We are connected to our ancestors through this connection to land, for the land is what connects us all. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude to the traditional people of this territory, the Snohomish and the Tulalip tribes, for their enduring care and protection of the land which we currently share. So tonight we will share an overview of this new high school virtual learning option that is delivered in partnership with our colleagues at Graduation Alliance, and our plan is to launch it this fall. So what is virtual learning? Graduation Alliance uses a rigorous curriculum that's aligned to national standards and offers online classes that's aligned to our graduation requirements as well. We actually have been working with Graduation Alliance now for 7 years as we serve and support our students through our Open Doors program, which engages students who have left learning and have been enticed back through our partnership with Graduation Alliance. And that has been a stunning success. It serves students who are ages 16 through 21. Graduation Alliance is accredited by Advance Ed. It's the same nonprofit and nonpartisan organization that serves us and accredits our school and actually 34,000 educational institutions around the world. The teachers in Graduation Alliance are fully licensed in Washington State, and the courses are courses that can be taken at any time and from any location. Earning credits with Graduation Alliance has helped thousands of students stay on the road to graduation without interfering with the student's job or family other obligations or other responsibilities. Todd and Beth, would you like to share any additional information about Grad Alliance that our folks would like to know?
Sure. We're just excited to be here and to continue our partnership. We're here to support your students in any way that we possibly can. And we welcome any questions tonight that you may have about our organization, about our program and our curriculum. And, thank you for being interested in what we're doing.
So I think it's important to get a grounding as what is virtual learning as we envision it moving forward to next year. It is partnership between the family, between the Mukilteo School District and Graduation Alliance. And it is an independent, self-directed learning option that is really supported fundamentally and importantly by parents. It's important to know that it is asynchronous. So it's not face-to-face in real-time learning. There are lots of face-to-face opportunities to support the learning, but classes are not delivered one-to-one, face-to-face as they were, for example, in our Mukilteo Virtual Academy. And it's flexible, but it has significant expectations as to what folks should be doing and how people should be engaging with it. Blake, could you tell us a little bit about the expectations that come with the ALE model of learning?
Absolutely. So students are going to be expected to be engaged to be a full-time student, 27.75 hours of learning a week, following their individual written student learning plan, where they make progress on a monthly basis. If students make progress from month to month, great, they're on track. We just keep right on trucking. However, if a student fails to make satisfactory overall monthly progress in a given month, an intervention plan gets put in place, looking at a couple of different things the state outlines, but essentially what is going to be different with the student, potentially with their academic program, potentially at home, that's going to increase their likelihood of being successful the following month. And if they hit 3 months of overall not making academic progress consecutively, then continuation with the program is significantly jeopardized. Another piece to be aware of is that, as it says on the screen here, and Pat also talked about, it is an asynchronous model. So this is a model for students who are largely independent. Support, help, whatsoever you need is available, but it is not in a direct instruction model as Mukilteo Virtual Academy has been, or Mariner, ACES, Kamiak would be.
Oops, there we go. And I want to talk a little bit and have Beth and Aubrey tell us a little about the virtual learning model, because it has the student at the center in this asynchronous environment, supported by academic coaches, licensed teachers, local advocates, tutoring, and career services. So Beth, would you share a bit about this? And then Aubrey, could you also jump in with your work?
Sure, absolutely. Graduation Alliance has been doing this work since 2007. And so we do consider ourselves experts in online learning and virtual learning. As Blake and Pat have both mentioned, this is an asynchronous program, which means students are not required to log in at specific times. However, they will be required to Blake's point, to make satisfactory academic progress. So the idea is that we're providing an opportunity for students to have flexibility in both time and place, while supporting them with a number of wraparound services. And all of our students will receive these services regardless of how they're doing in the program. And we encourage them to take advantage of all those. So every student, as Pat mentioned, will be taking courses from highly qualified Washington State certified teachers, utilizing our highly accredited curriculum. They, besides their teachers, will have a number of support personnel supporting them in their process. So the first is what we call an academic coach. And essentially the academic coach is the pace and progress support for the program. We lovingly call them the NAG. They are going to ensure that students are continuing to work and move forward in their program. They offer any academic related support a student may need, from helping assign courses, planning out synchronous sessions if that's something they want, getting them signed up for study sessions, supporting them through their learning process. So anything that's academic, and really they're there to help cheer on and support the student in making this program work best for them. In addition to that, and I'll have Aubrey jump in a minute about this, we have local advocates assigned to every student as well. And those are folks that live and work in the Mukilteo community. They are already in place because, as Pat mentioned, we've been working there for over 7 years now. And those local advocates' role is really the social and emotional learning support for the program. They're there to recognize any barriers or struggles a student is having with things that are non-academic related, and be just another support system to help resolve or stabilize those things. Again, they will work in conjunction with those academic coaches and provide similar support services, but more from a social and emotional aspect. In addition to that, students will have access to live 24/7 tutoring. So if your student is someone who likes to work in the evening or late at night, like my children, they will always have access to a human being that can help them if they get stuck. We strongly encourage as much family support as you are able to offer, but know that your students will be supported. And then throughout the program, we build in career and college readiness services to help students not only achieve success in their high school career, but think forward about what's next. What's their plan for after high school? These local advocates are really kind of the sweet sauce to our program. And so we invited Aubrey tonight to talk really in more detail about what those advocates can and will do for your student.
Absolutely. Thank you, Beth. Our local advocates, as Beth mentioned, are local to you. So they are individuals within your community who are experts with the resources for social emotional support for your students. So if your child says that they are really interested in volunteering, your local advocate is going to be the person who plugs in and becomes this glue from your child, your student, to the community in any aspect that they're needing. So resume support, finding jobs, finding volunteer opportunities, finding resources for any sort of housing or food stability to support with. So our local advocates are people that get to know your child, get to know what their needs are from a social emotional as well as academic support, and then plug them directly back into the community, where we like to say, teach a student to fish, right? So we want to be able to give them the life skills that are needed in order to not only be an incredible student within the Mukilteo School District, but also a community member within Mukilteo itself.
So
I'll just
Aubrey,
add one thing, sorry, Pat,
go ahead.
is one of our main goals is while your student is in a flexible and a virtual environment, our goal is to help keep them as engaged as possible with the school district. They are a Mukilteo student, and regardless of the delivery of their instruction, they should feel that network and that belonging. And so we really want to create that bridge between being online in a flexible and asynchronous environment and being a part of the community and a part of the school district.
I was going to ask Beth or Aubrey if you could say something about the meetups, whether they're online or locally.
I can speak to that. Yep. So they're both. We offer multiple meeting opportunities a week, what we call meetups. They're just like this. We use Google Meet, a similar platform to Zoom, where your students have a voice. They get to gather with the local advocate and other students multiple times throughout the week at different times throughout the day, so it can work best for your family. And then we also offer community events, which look like going out into the community, going to a coffee shop, or in the summer, a local park or a local beach, or something that can connect students back to peer support, as well as having that local advocate face to face. So again, these are individuals within your community. We want your student to not feel like they're in an online school that's light years away, but they're right here involved in the Mukilteo School District. And that bridge, like Beth mentioned, is the local advocate.
All right. Thank you so much. So a question that you're going to have is this the kind of learning environment that's going to suit the needs of my students? So what kind of learner is best suited? It's best for students, as Blake had mentioned earlier, who are able to and perhaps even prefer to work independently. A student who has an identified learning space and time at home. You've got that place where the student can independently settle in and take care of their work on their schedule. And it also will serve, and this is why we wanted to continue to offer this opportunity, families who need flexibility, whether it's due to continuing concerns about COVID or other things. I think one thing that many people learned out of the pandemic is a desire for greater flexibility, and this offers that for students. It is not ideal for students who really do best and who want their teacher in front of them in real time, or who like to be in amongst large numbers of peers. Our program is designed for students in grades 9 through 12, and a lot of kids, perhaps most kids, like to be together in those comprehensive experiences. And so if that's what your student prefers, this is probably not the best option for them. It wouldn't suit for students who won't have the appropriate space and or time, comfort / flexibility at home to be able to settle in, commandeer a space, and do their work. And then also, if your student is one who struggles with motivation, this is really for a student who is motivated, can work independently, and can thrive in that environment. For a student, I talked to a student just the other day who had talked about his struggles with online learning in the pandemic. And he said, you know, I need somebody to stay on my case. And I get that when I'm in school. So bit of a snapshot of how best to consider for your learner at home. We also have what to expect from virtual learning. Oops, I went backwards there. So I'll talk a little bit about this, and then my colleagues can certainly jump in. So again, we have to follow state law in this environment. And so Blake mentioned those weekly check-ins to make sure we're staying in alignment with that. You will have one-on-one contact with that teacher in set up live sessions as needed. Email with a teacher can qualify for that weekly meetup with them. Access to synchronized support, as mentioned by Aubrey and by Beth earlier, and that participation in the weekly meetup. All of that can meet that weekly contact. Students are expected in virtual learning to complete their courses in a timely manner comparable to their peers. Here's a key thing that's different. It is online. You will get a school district issued laptop to participate within the program. And you're only going to be taking 1 to 2 courses at a time. Over the course of a semester, we'll reference this later on, you will be expected to cover the same number of classes, 6, and complete the same number of credits, 3, as your peers. But in this model, rather than taking 6 classes at a time, starting day 1, you'll start with 1 to 2. You'll finish those, get on to the next 1 to 2, so that by the time first semester ends, at the end of January, you will have completed those 6 classes and gotten 3 credits. So in that vein, it's important to stay up to speed with your work, because you're focused on 1 to 2 at a time and completing them at a quicker pace than you would otherwise. Students need to submit the work that is representative of their skills. So it's the student's work, not something that they've gotten from somebody else. And students will be expected to participate in state testing. In addition, all of the rules that apply in the use of our Mukilteo School District technology will apply for our students in virtual learning. So the same kind of safeguards, the same kind of parameters, the same kind of oversight that we have on our student district issued district computers, those will be applicable to your student as well. So the requirements, as I said, weekly contact, complete those daily assignments daily, academic honesty, participate in testing, use the technology appropriately. And I didn't mention this one, of course, it is open for students who reside within the Mukilteo School District. In terms of family expectations, really, it's incumbent upon families to support that learning at home. We mentioned earlier having that space and time. Support your student by maintaining their continued communication with the student advocate weekly. Participate, have your student make sure that he or she participates in the conferencing that's offered each week, and stay apprised of their absences. And I'm going to ask Beth to comment on the notion of student absences in an online environment.
Yeah. So the way that we track attendance is a little bit differently under the ALE rules. And because we do provide that flexibility, you may have a student who can work potentially 3 or 4 days a week and complete what's expected of them and possibly have a day off. Maybe they're working, maybe they're involved in other activities. However, they are expected to maintain that satisfactory academic progress. If you know, or your student unexpectedly is going to miss more than a couple days, we do like to know that, because that will, if we don't know that, that will intensify our contact, our interventions, our basically our support for that student. So in other words, our advocate and coaches are going to notice right away if a student hasn't logged in for a day or two, and you're going to start hearing from us a lot. And so if you know your student is going to be absent for more than a day or two, that's something where you can let your advocate or coach know, just so we're aware of that.
Aubrey, do you have any comment on that and your role in supporting that?
I think Beth absolutely hit the nail on the head that we know our students really well. Our caseloads are small. We notice if someone's not working, we notice if someone's not attending the study sessions or the meetups. So communication, that's all we ask for, is as much communication as possible, because we notice you, we care about you, we notice your work, we're monitoring you frequently because we want to see you succeed.
So I'm going to go into a little more detail. I referenced some of it around the structure and accessing courses and credits in virtual instruction. So as you know, over the course of the year, you will take in a full load. And again, we are expecting, if you're participating in our virtual learning in partnership with the Graduation Alliance next year, that you are a full-time student in virtual learning. There's no partial. There's some other considerations about running start, etc. But if you're a regular ninth grader joining up to do virtual learning, you'll be expected to take a full load of courses each semester. So it's 6 classes first semester, 6 classes second semester for 12 semester classes. And you meet the subject area requirements and graduation requirements that are listed there over the course of your experience. The total for graduation is 24 credits, and the distribution that you see on that screen is the same as we have for all of our students. The same is true for the additional non-credit requirements on the other side. Students participate in the high school and beyond plan. They must complete Washington State history and complete the appropriate graduation pathway, just as we do for all of our graduates. So you are taking, as I said earlier, those 6 classes each semester, but you're taking them, again, rather than on day one, attending 6 classes, you're doing asynchronous work in 1 to 2 classes. Finish those classes, and then you're assigned on to the next 1 to 2 classes. So if you're a ninth grade student, you'll take the first semester of ninth grade English in that first semester. You may start it in September, or you might not start it till November, or indeed in January. But by the time second semester rolls around, you'll be ready to take that next progression, semester 2 of English 9, during that second semester. And as many of you know, our semesters typically run from September to the end of January for semester 1, beginning of February until June for semester 2. It is asynchronous, so you will be taking courses at your speed and in your time and at your pace, while keeping up to pace to make sure you cover those 6 classes. So a typical week is going to be self-paced while you're staying up to speed on completing your daily assignments. We do not offer any AP or IB options in this virtual learning environment, and there are a limited number of dual credit classes. As a process, you have already signed up in your local high school, whether it's Kamiak or Mariner, or in some cases ACES. And so we know what courses you want to take. If you decide to participate in virtual learning, we will match those courses to the extent possible. It's near perfect in the virtual learning environment. Beth, any of my other colleagues, did I miss anything important on this slide?
The one thing I would mention is if you do have an academically motivated student and they work ahead and they start to complete classes at a faster pace, we will typically have them working in a core subject area and an elective at once. And then if they complete that core quickly, they'll likely do another elective until the following month, so that we can keep them on pace. And while our hope is to provide as much flexibility between this program and if your student decides to return, this is typically a 1-year commitment. So we ask that students that are doing this are committed to the program for the year. And so this is not an option where you, in the middle of the semester, you'd be able to transfer back. So as you're considering this for your student, keep in mind you are committing to this program for the year.
Yeah, that's a key point. We just don't have the flexibility, nor does it work with how students are taking courses in the online environment to be able to flex back into the conventional brick and mortar environment. So I want to hand this over to
But
Go ahead,
sorry,
sorry.
Pat, we have a little bit of flexibility in how your student and what your student likes to do. So that's a great conversation to have with your coach and your advocate around the courses that your student enjoys and things that we can do. And to Pat's point, we have a full course catalog that we're going to make available to you as parents to be able to check out some of those courses. Obviously, some of those elective type courses that typically would be done in person, things like ceramics maybe would be a good example, might not be available. So if your students signed up for that, we're going to look for options to replace that for elective credits that can be done virtually.
So for the next couple of slides, I'd like our Graduation Alliance colleagues to walk us through the student dashboard. So Beth, just tell me when you're done with this slide, and I'll go on to the next one.
Sure. So one of the great things about our program is everything is done in a very simplistic, user-friendly portal. The students and your family will have access to this in real time. So what that means is everything that your student does as a family, you will be able to see real time. So when your student logs in, what assignments they create. Most importantly for your student, we want to make navigation as easy and as intuitive as possible. So when your student logs in, they will see, for example, the student is in biology semester 1. All of these things that you see, like assignments completed, the teacher's name, these are all hyperlinked to other things. So for example, if you clicked on the teacher's name, that would link directly to their contact information. You'd be able to email or chat with your teacher. The assignments will hyperlink to each assignment within the course. Along the left-hand side, you'll be able to see classes, upcoming classes you've completed, what your pathway looks like. Also, if you need help, so whether that be tutoring, whether that be technology help, we are responsible for that. So anytime your student needs something, we are there to help them, whether that's from an academic standpoint, a technology standpoint, and to Aubrey's point, a social and emotional standpoint. And then lastly on this, these are study sessions. So if your student is looking for additional help in any of the courses we're taking, we have a full calendar of study sessions available to our kids that work in your schedule. And again, it's meant to be flexible. You can sign up for those. If they don't work for you, obviously reach out to your coach, your teacher, and we can get something individual for your student. But go ahead, Pat, you can move to the next screen. As you drill into those classes, this is another example. You'll see each unit that your student is working. Your student will see this, assignments that are due, any past due assignments, any assignments that were recently graded. We pride ourselves on that consistent and quick feedback to your students. And so as students complete work, our teachers, our coaches, our advocates are held highly accountable for that response time to your student and how we respond. And so again, you will be able to see all this as a family in real time. Obviously up top, you'll see if there's any messages for your students, any alerts. We will sometimes do push out messages that we call them speed bumps internally, where a student has to read a particular message. So maybe the district wants us to message something to the students. We'll make that what we call speed bumps. So the students have to read that and acknowledge that message before they can move on. And so you'll find all of that is very easy to access and very simple. I always tell students, you can't break this. So cruise around, do what you need to do, link into things. And of course, we'll find students that are much more tech savvy than me that prove me wrong once in a while. But this is a very intuitive system for your students to use. Go ahead, Pat.
So just a couple of things that may be weighing on people's minds. One, questions that we get about athletics, activities, and other events. So athletes must be eligible to compete, and you'll be able to compete at your home school. Students may participate in clubs and activities after school hours at their home schools. It's really important that if that's the case, that you want to do that you've made that known to your homeschool principal and assistant principals so they can know and see you coming onto campus and participating. You may not, however, enroll in courses, elective or otherwise, at the school. Your entire academic focus is through our virtual learning environment. And students are able to participate in school events that are held after school at their home school. Again, as a former principal, I want you to alert me as a family, as a student that says, hey, I'm going to be coming and participating in the game tonight. I have my ASB card, etc., because I want to be a part of this school community for those social environment as well. And that we can do. We just need to make sure it's communicated. We got some basic questions, and we're going to get to your questions at the end of our presentation. Can my student graduate early? No, there is no. We don't allow the student to get ahead necessarily or graduate. We want to stay on pace during that school year. Can I attend if I move out of state or out of district? The answer, I'm afraid, is no. There was some flexibility of that early in COVID, but no more. You must reside within the district and of course within our state. Who do I graduate with? Students may graduate with the school that they are enrolled with. So you could do your entire career through here, but at the end of the day, engage and graduate with your colleagues at your home school. That's how we've constructed it in the last couple of years with MVA. So I want to talk about some important dates. Today, of course, is May 10th. We're going to start seeking and getting registration requests. It says May 11th, that would be tomorrow. I think we've got a little legwork to do. So our goal really is by the end of this week. What we plan to do is launch an email out through Parent Square. And in that Parent Square email, we're going to say, want to remind you about the virtual learning environment that we're envisioning for grades 9 through 12 next year. If you haven't seen the webinar, go to this link. The one that we have tonight is being recorded. And it will be recorded, put onto our YouTube channel, and closed captioning in our 6 most prominent languages other than English. Also, we'll have a link to the catalog of courses so you can see what kind of one-to-one correspondence an agreement there is between the courses that you've selected and what we'll offer through Graduation Alliance. And then we'll also say, if you want to sign up for this, we'll have a button to click for you to make that sign up. And we want people to weigh this carefully, because after June 8th, we're going to go with those lists and we're going to start the process of moving them out of the assignment at their home schools and into our Graduation Alliance entity. We will look for computer distribution in August, sometime TBD, and orientation for the work 1 week prior to class beginning. And class will begin on the same day that we will start classes in the Mukilteo School District. It's by policy the first Wednesday after Labor Day, and that is cast in stone. The rest of the calendar we're not entirely sure about yet. The June 8th date is important so that we can guarantee that you will be ready to start on that date. So if you're eager to begin your year, we can guarantee it if you've committed by that June 8th date. So look for that Parent Square announcement and invitation. It says May 11th. It may very well be May 12th. We are going to send multiple reminders on that up until June the 8th, and then we will close that registration piece at that time. Finally, we have some initial contact information for you to reach out to with continuing questions, wondering, etc. Blake is a fabulous expert and partner as the principal at ACES High School, and Blake's direct number is there. Liz Reynolds is the office manager at ACES, and Brenna Fulner is the administrative assistant for secondary education. She works very closely with me. Brenna has been working very closely with Graduation Alliance over the past 7 years as we've launched our partnership with them for students age 16 through 21. Brenna also is able to give lots of insight. And then we are still working on our counselor for ACES for next year. So that is still to be determined. Okay, I'm going to stop share now. And there is something in the chat. Blake has put his email in there, bairdbn@mukilteo.wednet.edu. And that's visible. I'm going to make it visible to everyone. I hope people can see that. Blake, can you put it in the chat again, just in case? And
Absolutely.
I'm going to enable now the Q&A. So just bear with me a moment while I do that. How do I do that? Let's see. Oh, here it is. Enable Q&A. So I think at this point now we can see the Q&A, and we have some questions. Excellent. Will clubs like Art Club be at ACES? Whoops, I'm going to get rid of that.
It's an excellent question, Bacona. If you're wanting a really specific club, that is probably going to be at the home school of either Kamiak or Mariner. ACES has a club on Wednesdays this year. It will likely be on Wednesdays next year, but our population is so small, it's just a generic club, where something more specific like art club would be at one of the comprehensive schools.
And let me answer the survey, Bacona. The survey will be open starting, we said today, but it's more likely going to be by Friday because we haven't got all those links and pieces together just yet. But we are going to send that out through Parent Square, and we'll send it out multiple times. If for some reason after Friday you haven't gotten it, if you were to email or call one of our contacts, we can certainly set you up. But Parent Square has been pretty reliable and pretty robust in terms of getting that messaging out.
Pat, while we wait for a few questions, I do want to mention that if your student has an IEP or 504, they absolutely qualify for this program as well. The same supports will be in place. We'll work directly with the district to make sure that students get the supports they need and the services they need. So if that is your student, don't let that deter you in any way from learning in this environment. We work every day with students that have different designations and have different needs. And so we're happy to continue and want to serve all of your students' needs.
Okay, the Q&A is open for any questions you might have, folks. I'm practicing, as our superintendent likes to say, wait time. I'm going to make a last call for questions. And of course, I say that, and you can always contact us, give us a call, send an email. We're eager to support the needs of your students and your families. And if this is the right, best option for your student and their learning, we want to make it a rich experience and a meaningful one. Because as I said, we've experienced a time of trauma, but also out of the pandemic, people realize, hey, I want to have a more flexible life. And so I think this gives that for families and for students who need it. Okay, I'm going to say last call, and I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, there's a question. Excellent. Here it is. So Wednesday's club is at ACES.
Yes, Bacona, there is a club at ACES on Wednesdays. It is from 2 until 4. Presently for ACES students, though we can look at expanding that for Grad Alliance students whose homeschool is at Kamiak or at Mariner as a possibility for next year.
Yeah. And again, we are talking about next year at this juncture. Okay, with that, I want to thank all of our participants and panelists for joining us tonight. There's still plenty of sunshine, light, and warmth out there, so I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And again, look for our Parent Square announcement no later than the end of this week, and it'd probably be more likely that it be Friday as opposed to tomorrow. Okay, thank you all so much, and good night.